1-800-700-5593.
Experience Pros Radio Show, home of the original Fan Braggin' Fridays. Take just 20 seconds to become a business revolutionary by sharing a fan bragging story of great customer service by using the hashtag FanBrag or calling the Fan Braggin' hotline at 855-FAN-BRAG, FANBRAG. Now back to Angel and Eric, the Experience Pros.
Welcome back to Experience Pros Radio Show, home of positive business talk. And Angela, you know that we've been through a kind of crazy week and a half, 2 weeks with the hurricanes, both in Houston and now Hurricane Irma that's come through. And here in Denver, we have a thriving, growing community. And when you look up, the skyline shows not just buildings, but cranes building buildings.
You know, the cranes in the skyline has almost become a kind of just a running joke theme. In fact, in one area here in Denver, they've actually adopted an Embrace the Crane marketing campaign because there are so many cranes. And I know when we were watching the hurricanes, all the cranes that were posted and built and they were up in Florida, people were freaking out about, were these hurricanes going to fall down? And then, of course,
the cranes,
3 cranes collapsed around the city of Miami on Sunday, and residents were questioning, why weren't they taken down prior to all the warnings? Well, we've got the expert, construction safety expert and crane manager, CEO, or crane management CEO, Patrick Tarrant. He's warning of the dangers that can come from multi-ton cranes dangling from high-rise buildings. But he also says that sometimes removing a crane can be more dangerous than leaving it up during a hurricane. Patrick Tarrant, welcome to Experience Pros.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Patrick, it's nice to have you. Now, give us an update on what happened. Was it just the 3 cranes that collapsed? I shouldn't diminish that, but 3 cranes that came through when Hurricane Irma came through?
Yes, I believe there were 3. I don't have any information specifically about the causes, but I believe a properly maintained crane that's left in the correct position should withstand basically any kind of wind. Those cranes are generally attached to buildings. As the building goes up, the crane goes up with the building. It attaches to the building, and then there are inserts that go into the mast. You actually increase, you grow with the building by lifting up sections, opening up just underneath the top of the crane and inserting a new section and climbing. Then when you get to there's a sort of a maximum allowance of maybe 150 feet you can go before you do another tie-in. In the event, when cranes are unattended, these are called tower cranes, and there are basically 2 types of tower cranes. I'm sure the ones you do with it.
Oh, we
may have lost Patrick. Yes? Is he still with us?
Called the boom.
Oh.
Sorry, Patrick. We don't mean to interrupt, but we lost your audio. Tell us again. You were describing the cranes.
Yes, you have the type of crane. There are 2 different types of tower cranes. The tower cranes are the ones that are attached to the building and go up with it. The hammerhead tower crane is one that has a horizontal boom. It never changes from the horizontal, and you have a trolley that rides in and out underneath to place the loads. At night, when one gets out of those cranes, you have to leave them freewheeling, which is called weather vaning, which is it acts like a weather vane. When the wind hits it from the side, it just swings into the wind and presents the smallest surface to the wind. So if you were to lock the crane in a position and the wind hit it at right angles, the wind would try to turn the crane. That would create a torsional force, a twisting force on the mast, and that's where damage would occur. So we leave those cranes weather vaning at night. So no matter where the wind hits from, it'll swing into the wind.
So then, Patrick, what happened to the 3 that fell in Miami?
I would say, without knowing the specifics of the crane, and I'm sure that a lot of people in OSHA, the insurance companies, they'll be very interested in this question because I'm sure we'll have those types of winds again. And if there's something about those cranes, maybe there was a maintenance issue, maybe there was a defect, maybe there was a fault. These cranes are highly developed pieces of equipment, and they're in areas that are at least as windy as Florida was. So I think it's possible that maybe there were older cranes, maybe there were issues. If it can't swing freely, if there was, say for instance, if there was an issue with the brakes not coming off correctly and it presented a little resistance, it's possible the wind was strong enough to compromise them.
The winds were
specific to the actions.
Yeah, the winds were, I mean, they were super strong. And I think that was the community was crying out that they thought they should come down. But you actually even say that sometimes it's more dangerous to remove them than keep them up. How can that be?
Well, here's the specifics. Say, for instance, in Florida, you have whatever number of cranes. There would be it's a highly skilled job to put those cranes up and take them down. You have dedicated crews, and that's what they do. Now, there isn't a demand for 10 or 15 cranes to put up at the same time. So you don't have 10 or 15 of those crews. You may have 4 or 5. So to suddenly say, and it takes maybe a week to take those cranes down, to suddenly say, okay, we've got to take the crane down. You don't have enough people to do it safely. So now you have people who are less skilled, who are tasked with the job. You're doing it in a hurry. And I think that presents more danger than actually leaving them up if they're properly engineered and properly positioned with and aware of any action that's left on them. It's just that there aren't enough people to do it in a hurry. And then some cranes, of course, bear in mind that not all cranes climb down. Some cranes have to have a structure called a derrick built on top of the building. Say, for instance, if you have a crane that doesn't go up the outside of the building, an internal climber climbs up with the building. It sits on top of the new construction. So now it doesn't have a mast going to the ground. So now you have to bring in a derrick, which takes a couple of weeks to set that up and take it off. If you have time to plan it, that's good. But if you don't, clearly it's not a live option.
Well, Patrick, I know you are an OSHA authorized safety instructor on a mission to keep the job site safe for workers. How do you want our listeners, if they have any questions about this or just to stay connected with you?
We have our website is cranemgm.com. We have a Facebook page. They can stay connected. My own email address is the Irish spelling of my name, Padraig, P-A-D-R-A-I-G, PadraigTarrant at MSN.com. A lot of people in the industry know that they can reach out to me and I'll answer any questions they have if I can help. If I can't help, I'll point them in the right direction. Say, you know what? I don't know the answer, but I know a guy who would know the answer, so why don't you go to him and say that I sent you?
Right. Patrick is frequently hired as an expert witness in construction and safety cases. CraneMGM.com is the website, CraneMGM.com. Patrick, thanks so much for being with us today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You know, it's fascinating to have the conversation with somebody who knows the answers in technology and stuff that goes
because we get so you see the posts on Facebook and you think, oh, that's the story, they left them up and how dangerous, but then there's always another side. That's
exactly right. And keep in mind, a growing, thriving metropolis is always going to have cranes, and probably more cranes than are, the crews that build the cranes aren't necessarily the crews that operate the cranes. They build and then they go build another one. And so the operators may or may not be the builders. And so you think, well, why don't you built it, you take it down. It's not necessarily that straightforward.
It isn't. Yep. It isn't. So very, very exciting, or just very informational to hear from an expert in the case. And I know my daughter, she was one of the evacuees. We got her out of Florida before the hurricanes. And before the big storms came. She's been working at Disney World, who they actually closed down for 2 days for the storms. And I mean, it's pretty wild when we're watching it from so far away, and we're relying so heavily on the social media posts and the news to keep us updated on what's really going on, and then trying to filter out the fake news and the sensational pieces.
You bet.
And so when you've got people that are actually kind of the experts there and getting their side of the story, it's super helpful.
All right. Came across an article that says there are a lot of Gen Zers who are skipping school to become entrepreneurs.
Really?
They are looking at a whole new shift from, the recent generations like baby boomers who are all about landing the perfect job right out of college. Well, these Gen Zers, and we're talking about still in high school, 43% of them who are in college say they'd rather be entrepreneurs than employees when they graduate. So they're going straight to, they're not jumping off the 9 to 5, they're bypassing the 9 to 5.
Wow. You know, that's a brand new trend. So, I think the last generation was all about kind of coming out of college and having a CEO seat, or place in the C-suite. Yeah,
and we're still fighting that a little bit, but, you work hard, you earn it, you get it, or you roll up your sleeves and jump into the pool feet first, see what happens. Gang, don't go anywhere. More positive business talk right here on the Experience Pros Radio Network.
The Experience Pros, revolutionizing the way people treat people in business.
KDMT, Denver's Money Talk 16.